Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 31st of March, now it's 20 to 9 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my channel in which I share latest updates on the news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment. But before I start, let me once again emphasize how grateful I am for your time, attention and support. It truly does mean a lot to me, so thank you very much. That being said, let's talk about news now, and I will start with the RIA Novosti's report, which is quite interesting because let me read it for you. So Manhattan prosecutors have charged former US President Donald Trump on more than 30 counts of business fraud. That was reported by CNN and many other mainstream media outlets of the US, and I'm quite sure this will be one of the main topics in the world media today. And how you gonna comment this? It's just too obvious. It's just too obvious that neoliberals and neocons, so-called deep state, is trying to get rid of Trump before next presidential election. And if they were unable to get rid of him, to jail him, for example, or to kill him, they may probably will try to kill Trump also. That's how crazy they are, and that's how criminal minded they are. But if they cannot get rid of him, they will at least try to harm his reputation, so that Republicans will turn their back on Trump. But I believe they will be unsuccessful, and whatever however situation will develop, it's just too obvious that we are seeing now political prosecution in the USA, and we are seeing that current US administration is acting like some dictatorship will do. They are prosecuting and they are trying to harm main opposition candidate for next presidential election, who has most chances to become next president. This is quite embarrassing to USA, should be, because world is watching, and probably even those people that truly believe that in US they have democracy and freedoms, and all the rights are preserved and secure, even they probably are beginning to ask questions: what the hell is going on? Maybe you don't like Trump, but to prosecute him because of his political beliefs and generating some artificial cases against him, just to somehow take him out from the next presidential election. That's not even close to ideals that US itself, US elites are trying to push, or at least pretending to care about. So this is political prosecution, of course. No other explanation can be done, because let's be honest. Trump was 10 years ago. Trump was a superstar. He was very much welcomed to all those circles that now we are calling neoliberals, isn't it? He was very much welcomed in that circle. He was very much welcomed on these networks: MSNBC, NBC, CNN. Just all of them love him. But then Trump became a politician, and his views, were a little bit different than views of deep state and neoliberals and neocons. And basically, in single day, Trump, from a very much loved by leftists person, become a main enemy of those for them. And since then, they are trying to somehow harm Trump, but it seems like they are quite unsuccessful. Yes, there are some questions about previous elections, but still Trump is in active politics, and if he will manage to become a main candidate for Republican Party, I believe he will beat anyone from Democrats, just anyone. Democrats right now don't really have a candidate who will have support even among Democrats. And as you know, previous elections, even though Biden was not really popular, Democrats, they did vote for him, not for him, but they vote against Trump, and that's how Biden ended up in office. And I believe majority of Democrats that vote for him now probably scratching their heads because they're not gonna like what Biden and Biden's administration doing. They are acting like crazy, and they are endangering U.S. citizens. They are endangering U.S. military all around the world. They are destroying U.S. economy, for God's sake. And you know what is going on, for example, in banking sector of U.S. And now we have reports that to deal with this banking crisis, U.S. may need more than $1 trillion, probably, or up to 2 trillion. And how they gonna, who will give this money to Treasury or to White House? They're gonna print it, and more dollars they will print. West situation will develop for U.S. currency. It's already in a difficult position, isn't it? Because policies of White House, current administration, is pushing countries worldwide to distance themselves from dollar. And one day, dollar just may simply collapse, and that will destroy U.S. economy. That will destroy U.S. economy, and U.S. economists and experts are saying this. Main force, main power of U.S. always, of one of the main powers, always was dollar. At least for the last 100 years, let's say. And what we are seeing now, Biden administration destroying dollar. And this topic probably will be very active. Trump will be in media on daily basis probably, and we will talk about him not just once in future updates, I guess. But right now, it's obvious that against him have been used the system illegally to somehow take him out from next presidential election, or to somehow harm his reputation, which is yet again one more blow for U.S. as a state, because under Biden's administration, U.S. itself is losing reputation in an unbelievable rate. Let's continue now. And this is RIA Novosti again, and we have information that Putin did sign order yesterday afternoon, according to which on 1st April, from tomorrow, spring conscription will begin, and 147,000 Russians will join Russian army. As you know, Russia has a system in army. It's conscripts and the professionals. And in this spring, 147,000 conscripts will join army, but same time, about same amount of soldiers, about 140,000 soldiers will probably leave army because they served 1 year, and in Russia conscripts are serving only 1 year. But point is that I believe from those soldiers that will leave army, 15-20%, at least 15-20% will probably sign contract with the army to continue service in Russian armed forces. And in this case, we are talking about some 20-30,000 additional force additional soldiers for Russian army, which is quite significant. Quite significant point. Maybe even more. Maybe even more. But yet again, when it comes to this news, these conscripts that now will join army, they will serve inside Russian territory, and no one from them will be sent in those 4 new Russian regions where conflict is going on right now between Russian and Ukrainian forces. So, because I mean Donbass region, DPR, LPR, Kherson region, and Zaporozhye region. They will not be sent there. They will be deep inside Russian territory. Let's continue now, and this is TASS News Agency's report also. We have statement from Russian General Staff, according to which General Staff is not planning to conduct any mobilization. And, well, this topic, mobilization, is relevant, still relevant in Russia, because there are some rumors all the time that there may be mobilization now, or in a month's time, or in 2 months' time. Well, officials are many times did say that there will be no mobilization, but now General Staff is talking about it. But in my opinion, Russian side probably needs additional 300 to 500 soldiers at least, just in case, to be on safe side. And if they manage to attract to army professional soldiers, so that they will sign contracts, or then maybe mobilization not will take place. And because wages in armed forces are quite good, they may be able to attract a lot of citizens to join armed forces. But still, in my opinion, before end of spring, maybe in summertime, we will probably see mobilization, so that Russia will be ready to conduct final push in this conflict in the next winter. And as you know, mobilized reservists do need from 3 to 6 months training at least. And yes, if Russia is planning to conduct large-scale offensive operations in the next winter, then end of spring, beginning of summer probably are the time when we may see next wave of mobilization in Russia. But yet again, that's my guess. Who knows what will happen in reality? All we have for now is official statements from Russian side, according to which there are no plans to mobilize reservists. Let's continue now. This is TASS News Agency's report. This report is from yesterday afternoon, and I did share this news on my Telegram channel, but I could not in my update, because for that time we did not have this information when I was recording update. And according to this information, Ukrainian armed forces are losing about 500 soldiers in Bakhmut every single day. And probably none of us are surprised to hear this, because some fierce fighting is going on in Bakhmut, and because concentration of Ukrainian, and let me show you map. I did not open map for some reason. So because concentration of Ukrainian armed forces in Bakhmut are too strong. Not too strong, but there are too many soldiers basically trapped in a very small area. It's not surprising that they are losing up to 500 soldiers on daily basis. This number may be even higher, because all those buildings in central part, and right now under control of Bakhmut garrison is only central parts. Don't look at this area here. This is under Russian control, but this pro-Ukrainian map is not acknowledging this for this moment. And just imagine 5 to 10,000 Ukrainian soldiers are trapped here in this area, and basically any shell, because concentration is so high, any artillery shell may take out entire unit. And what can do 10, 100,000 shells? And when it comes to street battles, PMC Wagner units are probably one of the best in the world right now in urban fight. So Bakhmut garrison don't really have a chance. But it will take some time, of course, for PMC Wagner units to disarm all of them and neutralize. I will comment about few more topics when it comes to Bakhmut direction. Yesterday I was asked also, and Dima on military summary, host of military summary, also mentioned on his channel that they can be some underground route between Bakhmut and Chisovyar, some tunnels. As you know, this is an area where salt mines were where the salt mines were developed for decades and hundreds of years, basically. And in theory, quite possible that there is some underground route between Bakhmut and Chisovyar, but probably Russian side no maps of these underground facilities. And that's why I find it hard to believe that they have some underground communication between Bakhmut and Chisovyar. Definitely they will have some underground facilities inside Bakhmut, because it was the salt mines everywhere in this area. And of course there will be some underground facilities, but it's 11 kilometers between Bakhmut and Chisovyar, and I don't think tunnel was dig between these two towns in previous, let's say, since 2014. And if tunnel was before that, then the Russian side will knew about it. If it was done in Soviet era or in era of Russian Empire, then Russian side will probably knew about this and already destroyed. So yes, I don't believe that I find it hard to believe that it's some kind of underground communication between Bakhmut and Chisovyar. I don't believe that any large-scale counteroffensive will take place in direction of Bakhmut. Some local movements definitely will take place, and it did like a few days ago, and I did share on my Telegram channel when PMC Wagner units destroy entire column of Ukrainian armed forces in northwest direction somewhere here. I don't know what they were thinking, why they, it's already known for a long time that all the roads are under Russian direct or artillery fire control, and who sent that column in the direction of Bakhmut? Why? Because it was clear that it was suicidal mission, and Russian artillery did destroy that quite large column. And same time, I did see information that even the Leopard 2 tanks, Western-made battle tanks, were sent in direction of Bakhmut. And I did see some reports that even some of them have been destroyed already. But to be honest, I did not see photo or video confirmation of that. And that's why I don't believe that any Leopard 2 tanks or Western-made battle tanks are sent in direction of Bakhmut. All of them will be sent in direction of Zaporozhye to conduct announced a long time ago counteroffensive in direction of this land bridge here. But I don't see why Zelensky's regime will send its only reserves that they have now in direction of Bakhmut. It just don't make any sense really. So let's continue. And next news is that yes, we have statement from Pushilin, head of DPR, and he said that fairly soon Bakhmut, Artyomovsk, that's a Russian name for Bakhmut. So according to him, Artyomovsk will be fully encircled in fairly soon, in coming days, and maybe we will see that Russian side will close this opening between Bakhmut and Chisov Yar, but why? I mean, question is why? Bakhmut is perfectly well working as a trap, and it's still attracting more and more units of Zelensky's regime, and those units have been trapped in Bakhmut and destroyed. And why should PMC Wagner units now close this gap? I mean, from military standpoint, it don't really make sense, because Bakhmut is basically encircled anyway. They just leave a gap here so that any unit that will try to leave Bakhmut or enter Bakhmut will become easy target for Russian side. And why they need to close this gap, I don't know. Yet again, it all depends what kind of plans Russian side do have. So when it comes to overall situation on the front line, it's the usual stuff. Southern part is artillery, duels between the sides. Donetsk direction is very active, and I did read just this morning information that some free DRGs, that's sabotage groups of Ukrainian armed forces, were destroyed in direction of Marinka. And in Avdiivka, situation is basically the same. This town is in operational encirclement, and I already spoke about Bakhmut. Central parts now are contested, and the Russian side is pushing to establish full control over the central areas of this city. And as I said yesterday, only western parts will be, in few days' time, only western part of this city, this little corner here, will be under Ukrainian control. And in next week, probably PMC Wagner units will take care of it also. Let's continue now. And so yes, now let me say a few words about my channels. Dear friends, first of all, I want to thank all of you, because today is the 31st of March, last day of this month, and we as a project did survive this month thanks to your support, thanks to your attention. So yes, first of all, I want to thank you and say a few words about my channel maybe. So yes, if you think this channel is interesting, has some potential, and should exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support with small donation through PayPal, or subscribe to my Patreon channel. I will be very much grateful for this help. And when it comes to Patreon, I'm making this update this early, because in about hours or 2 hours time, me and with family will leave for Moscow. We will make some content for Patreon page for Patreon subscribers. I have to do at least one exclusive for Patreon, and I'm trying to do everything I can to make interesting content for Patreon. And yes, that's why this update is early. And Yes, if there will be some questions, I will of course address those questions during the update on Patreon. And dear friends, one more moment. As you know, I'm always active in comment sections. Always, I try to be engaged with our community, and today probably I will, when we leave for Moscow, when we go to Moscow, that period of time before we come back, I will be unable to be active in comment section, and sorry about that. But once we will come home, I will go through comment sections and try to communicate with all of you and to react on as many comments as I can. So that's been said, let's continue now. Only few topics left for this early update, and this is TASS News Agency's report. Probably you are familiar with this news that yesterday Wall Street Journal's journalist was arrested in Russia. He was accused of espionage, and according to information, he was trying to he was trying to receive information about one of the companies in Russian military-industrial complex, and the data that he was trying to acquire is top secret, and he was arrested. And yesterday, Lefortovo court decided to put him under arrest, and probably he will be, he will receive a sentence, and after some time he will be probably exchanged on Russian on some Russian spy that maybe are detained in US or in somewhere in Europe. That's what usually happens. This person is formally a journalist, but it seems like he was a CIA asset, and nothing special really. I mean, that's a usual game between the secret services of the sites, and this person was just unlucky, and Russian counterintelligence services did work well. Ivana Gershkovich, name of that journalist, and yes, it's after he even is this person man or female? Let me Google it, because I don't know, to be honest. Nowadays, yes, he's a man. Formally, at least. Maybe he thinks he's a wardrobe, I don't know. Maybe he thinks his gender is a wardrobe, or I don't know. Table or something like that. Nowadays, anything is possible. So yes, in the West, I'm quite sure they will use this story to conduct yet another wave of anti-Russian hysteria. But of course, everyone will know this guy was asset of CIA. He was trying to receive some secret information and some classified information, and he was caught red-handed. But after he will be, after court will sentence him to prison. After he will receive his sentence, he will be probably exchanged to some Russian asset that may be detained in USA or in some other NATO member state. Let's continue now, and this is very interesting news. Yesterday afternoon we received information, and as you can see, RIA Novosti was also writing about it, that Chinese military leadership said that they are ready to cooperate with Russian army, to strengthen cooperation with Russian army, and there were some plenty of interpretations of this statement, what that means, and what we can see in the future. Maybe Russia and China will create a military alliance, and my approach is that there will be no military alliance between China and Russia, at least without India. At least without India. I did spoke about this topic a few days ago, and I will just repeat myself that for Russia, India is a crucial partner. Russian and Indian relationships, good friendly relationships, have decades of history, and I don't think Moscow will become a part of any military alliance unless India is part of it. Especially when China is part of that alliance, because as you know, India and China have some difficult relationships, to say the least, and that's why Moscow will, of course, will be very cautious. Moscow has and Russia has nothing to do with divisions between India and China, but Moscow can play role to minimize those divisions and to to bring closer Beijing and New Delhi, and yes, there will be some military cooperation between China and Russia, definitely, and we will probably see deliveries of Chinese weapons. Remember what I was saying? I was saying that after Xi Jinping's visit in Moscow, after some time, we will see that some high-ranking officials on both sides will start making statements, and eventually we will learn that China is beginning to deliver some military equipment to Russia, and probably that's what is happening. But interpretations of this statement was many, and some of them went as far as saying that we may end up seeing some military alliance between China and Russia, but not. It's not happening unless India also will be part of that alliance. Because for Russia, India is a strategic partner, friendly state and friendly nation, and Moscow just cannot do anything that will, harm these friendly relationships between the sides. So it's just too obvious, and yes. That's the news. That's my commentary on it, and this is it for now. Of course, during the day there will be some more interesting informations, and once we will come back from Moscow, if it's not too late, I may do some second update late afternoon. But if not, this is it for now. Have a nice day. And take care. See you soon.